Hi, Homework 8. This is question 8. What I've been asked to do here is I have to solve this polynomial. Now what solving a polynomial really kind of means is if I draw the graph of that polynomial, okay, what I'm interested in is where the roots of that graph are, and the roots, remember, are just where it crosses over the x-axis. So where it crosses the x-axis, what I'm looking to find is this point here, this point here, and this point here. So what I'm expecting to find is that x is equal to -1, x is equal to 1, and x is equal to 8. So that's it graphically. When you're doing this in the exam, you won't be getting a graphical representation. So what you're going to be trying to do is to solve this using some other method. What we're going to do is we're going to start off by using some synthetic division to try and work this one out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'll just draw up a box that will help me with my synthetic division. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down the coefficients of each of these things here. So what I've got is I've got 1, I've got a -8, I've got a -1 sitting there, and I've got an 8. And just remember, if there's any of the terms missing in order, you would put a 0 in there. Now I'm going to look for a number that's going to go outside, and I could guess a number. The number that I'm going to be looking for is a factor of 8. So if I think about the factors of 8, so I'm looking for the factors of this one, and that's all the numbers that can multiply together to get 8. So I could have plus or minus 1, could have plus or minus 2, plus or minus 4, or plus or minus 8. So that would be the factors. And what I can do is I can choose any one of these that I can, to try and make this work. For talking's sake, why don't we I'll try plus 2. So that would be trying to say that a root equals 2. Now I already know what the answer is, because I've shown you on the graph, but you've got to start at some point. I would usually probably start with plus 1, minus 1 and work through from there. Right, let's do the synthetic division. So I'll bring this one down to here, and then I'll multiply it by the 2, which will give me 2. Gather these together, gives me -6. 2 times -6 will give me -12. Gather these together, give me -13. 2 times -13 will give me -26. And gathering that together gives me -18. Usually what I would do is I'd box this last part and I would say that that equals the remainder. Okay, if the remainder is equal to 0, then I know that I've found a factor or I've found a root of the polynomial. So from here, since the remainder does not equal 0, I'm going to say that x equals 2, which is this 2 that's here, is not a root. And that because of that, I'm just going to say that x minus 2 is not a factor. Okay, so I kind of guessed wrong the first time round, so let's go for another one. Let's go for 1. Okay, so I'll do the same thing again. I'll set up the synthetic division. What I'll do is I'll bring down the coefficients again, just the same ones that are just up above. And I said I'm going to try 1. So hopefully this one's going to work out, because that was one of the ones that worked on the graph. Let's have a look. So I'll go for 1 down here, just bring the 1 down. 1 times 1 gives me 1. Gather together -7. -7 times 1 gives me -7. Gathering these together, -8. 1 times -8, -8. And then finally what I'll do is I'll gather them together and I get 0. So that equals the remainder. So since the remainder equals 0, I'm going to say that x equals 1 is a root, and x minus 1 is a factor. Okay, so what I do is I need the factors there to allow me to work out the rest of the question. Okay, so I'm going to start with the equation I was given. So I've got x cubed minus 8x squared minus x plus 8, and I'm now going to say that's equal to this factor here. Because I used the 1, I'm going to say that that's going to be equal to x minus 1. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down this coefficient here. So all of these parts from here, and I'm going to put them into this bracket here, which will be a bit of a larger bracket, which should look like a trinomial. Okay, so because I was starting with x cubed, this 1 here is 1x squared. So there's x squared going in there. That's minus 7, and that'll be minus 7x, just one less than that one, and this will be minus 8. They'll be sitting here at the end. And all of that, because I'm starting off with it equaling 0, all of that there equals 0. Now I'm going to work on this part here. Okay, so I'm going to factorise out the quadratic part. I'm going to be putting it into two brackets. So I know that two things that multiply together to get x will be x and x. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply together to get 8 with the difference is 7. So if I think of 4 and 2, nope, I could make 4 minus 2 is 2, 4 plus 2 is 6, nope, can't use that. What about 8 and 1? 8 and 1, if I take 1 away from 8, I can get 7. So let's try these ones. So I'll go for 1 and I'll go for 8. Looking at the signs, that's a minus sign there. So if that's a minus, then one of these is a minus and one of them's a plus. Now if I look at that sign there, that minus there tells me that the biggest one that multiplies out is a minus. So I'll set them up that way there. So now I've got the three factors. From there what I'm going to do is I'm going to work out my roots from here. So I've got x minus 1 equals 0, I've got x plus 1 equals 0, and I've got x minus 8 equals 0. Okay, so from there what I'll do is I'll find out that x equals 1, x equals minus 1, and x equals 8. And what that is, so that's my solution. So the solution is, and that's my solution there. Okay, let's see how we're going to mark this one. Okay, so first mark I'm going to get for choosing the number 1 and setting up the synthetic division. The second mark is going to be for working out a remainder of being equal to 0, and I'm going to also just include this kind of statement here. So that statement will also be included in that. Once that I've got that statement there, that's my second mark. My third mark, what I'll go for is I'll go for getting this trinomial, and that's coming from the quotient. I'm then going to get a further mark for factorising everything out, so I've got the three brackets that are there, and I need to make sure that I include the 0 that's there. It must be included. And finally, I'm going to get 1 mark for stating the roots. So for this question here, what we have is we have 1 mark, 2 marks, 3, 4, 5. This question out of 5 marks.